What a mad week we've had on the stock markets, eh?
It's been crazy. I hope you took advantage of it.
Well,
I managed to have a little bit of luck.
Yeah, I got your SMS that you went short on
two
crypto
cryptos.
world.
So just mucking around, nothing that's going to help me retire or anything like that. But just dipped my toes back into the water and had a little go at Ethereum and Cardano.
And what a drop, eh?
And gapped in the Monday. I took it at Friday, gapped on Monday, and I think by Monday afternoon I took my profits, and that was it.
And it gapped 25%.
Yeah,
that is a quarter of the value
so
was wiped out.
And the reasoning behind that, what do you think that is?
The reason, well, it's quite easy because Trump imposed tariffs on Mexico and Canada of 25%.
Yep.
I think that happened on Saturday, he indicated, and by Tuesday morning, those tariffs were going to be in place. So Monday comes around, the markets obviously panic. So you've had the NASDAQ, I think it capped down by 2.5% to 3%. Dow was about 1.5% down. So everyone's in panic mode.
What I don't understand, though, is it must be just fear that's driven a crypto, the whole crypto market down on the back of Trump putting some tariffs in.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Because there's no correlation between the two.
No. It's all about, look, it's funny because before we started the podcast, I mentioned to you, this is not about fundamentals. This is about what comes out of Trump's mouth. If it's negative, the markets are going to go down. If it's positive, the market's going to go up. And coincidentally, where he indicated on the media that he would not take off those tariffs, guess what happened 24 hours later? He paused the tariffs for 30 days.
But you can obviously see what he's doing, and he says it as well. It's a negotiating tool.
Yeah.
And so Mexico, they even sending troops to the border to stop
10,000.
people. Yeah. So that was part of the negotiation.
I think Canada is something similar.
I didn't hear about Canada.
Yeah.
So Canada's not doing it because Trudeau, is it Trudeau?
Yeah.
He came out and said, okay, well, we're going to whack you over here too. So there was some ridiculous amount of imports from the US to Canada, and then he was now putting a 25% impost himself, a tariff himself. I didn't hear that. So that one, they both unwound it, did they?
Yeah, they both unwound it for about 30 days. But Canada being virtually next door to America, I had no idea the reliance that Canada has on America, because without the Yanks buying the stuff from the Canadians, they're in real trouble.
Are they really?
No, they are. They're in real trouble. Like, we're talking like $400 billion worth of trade, and the biggest one being oil, because I think it's like how many hundreds of thousands of barrels of oil America imports from Alberta.
Yeah.
So that's where all the oil comes from. But it's a serious thing. But it's classic Trump, what he says one day.
Negotiating. Like, if you want to get an outcome, just think about it in your everyday life, right? If you want to get
the trader, Mark. The trader's suffering. I mean, he's going long.
Stuff the trader.
No, but that's what's happening. I mean, you can't trade these markets because
absolutely you can trade it. You just got to trade it with stop losses all the time, not leave your ass flying out.
Yeah. So if you're a trader, you could. I mean, it's not something that you can put a trade on and decide to go and have a cup of coffee, because things can change like really quickly. No, you've got to keep an eye on it. As a trader, but as a trader, that's not what they do, right? So they might have a take profit stop loss, in their trade set up already, and so they can go off and have a coffee or whatever. But most traders sit there religiously, watch the movements, watch price movements, still have a stop loss in case something happens. But I know you're not into technical analysis, but I am, and so a lot of traders will use charts to help them with entry points and resistance points and support levels, all these sort of things. Now, when it's gyrating because of a news item like that, 25% down, Mark.
Yeah, it hasn't fully recovered yet.
Right, it hasn't. Okay.
Yeah, it's recovered a little bit, but I'm sure some people, because the other thing that happens is when something's down 25%, everyone thinks it can't go any lower.
Yeah.
And so you've seen many a bear market like I have, and there's a phrase we use: catching falling knives.
Yeah.
And so you've got to be brave to step into that market right now.
I know.
You'd want the volatility just to settle down a little bit, because another piece of news and she can go down another 25%.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
But equally, it could go up another 50% to get back to where it was. So, so who knows, right? So you got to trade in shorter time frames, keep an eye on it, have the things. But from a negotiating point of view, I think it's brilliant.
You love it.
Yeah, you do whatever it takes to get the outcome you need, and so. He has no intentions of imposing 25% tariffs across everybody. He's using that to scare tactics to come to the table and let's have a discussion. And
it's working.
And my win's got to be bigger than your win.
Yeah.
But you can win a little bit, but my win's got to be bigger.
Yeah.
Because I've got this massive deficit, and how else am I going to get this down? I can't just tax my people.
I think also when it comes to trading, and you and I spoke about before we commenced the podcast, I spoke to you about a mate of mine who called me and had so much money on Ethereum, and I was shocked that when people are trading, some of them put their life savings because they think they're going to become multimillionaires within 2 weeks, and that's not the case. I mean, maybe there might be 1 in 1 million, but usually that's not the case. So I say to a lot of people, if you want to trade like with small amounts and have fun with it. So if you do suffer a loss, it's not going to ruin your day, your week, your month, your year, as opposed to, you know what, I think Ethereum is going to go up. Well, I heard this phrase that XRP, I don't even know what XRP is, but obviously suffered a big loss. And people are saying, oh, it's going to go back to 10,000 or it's going to go up to 10,000. I don't know whether it will or whether it won't. But when traders hear these comments, they should just sit back and say, you know what, it doesn't matter what people say on YouTube. I'm just going to invest or trade with the amount of money that I can afford to lose.
100%. I couldn't agree more.
That's the biggest take.
Because it's like Murphy's Law. If you play with money that you can't afford to lose, Murphy's Law will say you end up losing it. Yeah. Because the pressure's immense. Yeah. You make bad decisions. Yeah. And you lose objectivity. Yeah. Whereas if you're playing with pennies in pennies in the dollar type money, that whether you lose it or not, it's like going out for dinner. Okay, I spent $200. My life doesn't change. And I'm not saying trade markets with $200. I'm just using an analogy. But yeah, if you the pressures are gone, right? So and then you can just trade calmly. You can trade within. You can use technical analysis or not use technical analysis, but you make better, clearer decisions. Whereas if you're just flying the gauntlet and you've got your home at risk.
No, that's silly. That's crazy.
But people are doing these things. I've heard some horror stories that. I did have a mate. Oh, sorry, I do have a mate. He's not dead. He's still alive. Where he mortgaged part of his house. He managed to pay. Well, it's actually worked out well for him. So he's the flip side of it, right? But he mortgaged his house for a decent amount of money. I won't say the amount, but a decent amount of money. And he told me about it, and I said, mate, be careful. Like, I'm not here to give you advice. But
when did he get in?
Oh, quite a while ago. He's been there for a year or two now.
Is it Bitcoin?
Yeah. So he did a bit of Bitcoin, a bit of Ethereum, and I think he put a few little dollars on some speckies.
Okay. So it's worked for him?
For him, it has worked.
Did he get out?
No, he's still there.
Oh, see, that's the problem.
But he's now got a plan of... So the other thing I always educate or try and help people with from an investment trading side of things, if you do have an investment sometimes trades become investments, right? Yeah. So we know what that means, right? But if you do have an investment, have a plan what that investment's about. And part of that plan should be, how do I get my original capital out? So if you don't want to get the whole thing out, so if you put 10 grand in and it's up to 18 grand, where's the level? You can determine, be reasonable about it, but where's the level that I'm going to take my first 10 grand out? Yes. Which means there's no tax. Yes. And then I'm going to let the rest run free. And then I'll make a different decision profile on the rest of it. And so they're now starting to think about that.
But he hasn't done it yet.
No. But because he's optimistic and he's held him in good stead so far, and he's way ahead. But that's the flip side where that made me really nervous that he went and mortgaged his house.
Do you reckon traders are gamblers?
Yeah, of course they are.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think so.
Nothing wrong with that. What's wrong with gamblers, mate?
No, because
you say like it's a bad thing.
It is a bad thing.
No, it's not.
Because once you get, what's the right word? Once you get sucked in trading and you don't know how to control yourself, if you don't know how to manage see, everyone talks about their profits, right? I've been trading for a long time. Yeah, profits are going to be there, but there's also going to be some losses. You really need to know how to manage those losses. If you're hoping, so if you've done a trade, and you're down, let's look at Ethereum because that's just recent, it's down 25%, and you're down 25% on that trade, and you're hoping and praying, oh, geez, I wish it's going to go up tomorrow so my losses are not 25, they're only 20 or 15 or 10, but it keeps going the other way, 30, 35 and 40, that's a problem.
And you know what people do a lot in that problem? They double down.
That's even a bigger problem.
And so they'll go harder again and they'll average
just to
down.
Recoup back?
No, they'll think this is still going to go up. And so they'll, if they put let's say 100 grand in, they'll go another 100 grand. And they'll average the price down. So when in their minds goes back up, the break even's not as far away, and I can get out of jail. 9 times out of 10, it just doesn't work. That ends up blowing up in your face as well. But the crypto market's a little bit different, right? It's very volatile. And today it's down 25%. Tomorrow it's up 10%. Like it does gyrate to those sort of levels. So the plan is really important. I wouldn't encourage anyone to double down on their losses. I would encourage them either cut, just cut, and what the loss is you can afford.
Well, you've got to define...
and go home with the money that you're pulling out.
That's right.
Or trade your way out of it. And so use some sort of science, be it charts or whatever it is, but use something that enables you to optimize your exit point so that you try and mitigate some of those losses.
I just wonder how many people, when they do a trade, whether they're going long being up or short being down, I wonder if they have a plan before they get started, because most people don't. They just press buttons on their phones and they just...
I think a lot of people don't. I don't
That's
think,
a problem.
I think the professional traders do.
Yeah, they do.
And the people that use technical analysis, they do, because in their chart analysis, they've got a trigger that says, okay, well, this is the ceiling, this is the floor, trade within that, and when it gets to the top, it breaks it, you get out, all that sort of stuff. They seem to have a lot more discipline because they treat it more like a business, the ones that do like that.
These are the professional traders.
Yeah, professional traders. But the mum and dad traders, let's call them, the people that want to be traders, they're the ones that blow themselves up. And so, the one thing we know is markets are never just linear up. No. They don't just always go up.
No.
At some point, shit hits fan and things come down.
Yeah.
I learned the hard way myself. I remember back in the .com days.
Oh, were you involved?
Yeah. So
I was
back
too, but
then,
I was disciplined.
Yeah, disciplined. I don't even know how to spell that. But back then I was young and brash and a fair bit of money playing around. And back then you could get credit off your brokers. So these days you've got to have the money in a trust account or your account to trade.
Yeah.
But back then, the brokers would take the liability risk, right?
I remember.
And it was your risk too. And so a good friend of mine and myself, we were sort of playing the markets together.
NASDAQ?
No, we were playing stocks, right? So we were playing the Aussie market, just doing it at, we wanted to sleep at night.
Yeah.
But I still remember there was a company called SecureNet. SecureNet.
Right.
And we went hard. And so on the Friday night, we took this massive position, and what could go wrong, right?
Hang on. What prompted you to go all in on the Friday night? I want to understand the psychology. I know you were saying that you were young, but you must have had something at the back of your mind to say, you know what, today or this afternoon, being Friday, I'm going all in. How did you come to that point?
No real science behind it. We were trading our asses off at that time. Everything was going up and down like yo-yos, and you were just trading our asses off. We'd get placements in companies for their capital raisings, and then so we were part of a day trader community back then. Right. And so there wasn't, like, looking back now, it was one of the most stupidest things I ever did, because there was no plan, there was no rationale for that trade.
Right.
What it was is greed and the chase of the game.
Yeah.
And so we took, he took a bigger one than me, but equally, it was pretty big for both of us. Yeah. And then that Friday night, the US crashed.
Oh, Mark. You're kidding.
Yeah, and so come Monday morning...
This is the tech crash.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so come that Monday morning, we're both sitting there watching the screens, and I reckon if no one's got a photo of my face, but I reckon all life left my body.
Really? 80% down?
It was a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
And it was all on credit, so I didn't actually have the money to pay it.
So how did you get out of that one?
Well, I've never traded so hard in my entire life.
Now, this is going back in the year 2000.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you thought we were trading hard before that, forget about what day job I had that time, right? I went to work and just traded. Right. And I was trading in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, until I got that loss at a level where I could write the check and close it out.
Oh.
And so what's really good in when there's crashes, there's another phrase called dead cat bounces.
Yeah.
And so in a crash, at some point, whether it's the day, the next day, because back then you had 5 days to fix your liabilities. Over. It was T+5.
So do you want to just explain that? Because things have changed now. You can't get T+5
No.
now. Meaning that back in the year 2000, because internet stockbroking wasn't that relevant then. That's the reality.
No,
you had to ring up your stockbroker and say, I want to buy, for instance, 1,000 Telstra shares. And the stockbroker would take the order and you had to settle that in 5 days' time.
That is correct.
Smarties like you and I, guess what we did? We tried to make a profit before the 5 days, so wouldn't actually have to pay on the 5th day. Is that what you did? Because I did that.
Absolutely, I did that. And you do so many trades that the accounts department of these stockbroking firms couldn't work out what was going on.
Yeah.
All they knew is that it was going into credit, going into debit, going to credit, going to debit. And so the 5 days never actually got triggered until this crash, right? And so that Monday, as I said, life left my body. And then, then a bit of logic started coming back. And I said, okay, well, how am I going to fix this situation? Because I don't have the money. And so what we did, we started just trading. And so we were waiting for bounces. And so when it looked like it was a bounce, we'd go hard again. And so we bought more. And then when it bounced, we got to a certain level. We didn't let it go all the way up or whatever. Right. So at a certain level, bang, sold straight away.
Oh, so you used your logic.
Yeah, so then hustling came in, right? So just hustle trades. And so just tick trading, in, out. Enough to cover brokerage. And our broker was really good at the time.
But this is gambling now.
Oh, absolutely. It was full-on gambling.
This is desperate gambling.
But how else was I going to pay for it?
Oh, this is...
But these are people can get themselves in this scenario.
I'm glad that you brought it
up. So I'm sharing my own life experience, I never did that again.
Yeah.
But I had to work, and there was no way I was going to go home and tell my wife, and it's not my current wife, Jody, it wasn't happening in your time, my ex-wife, that, okay, we're going to sell, we're stuffed.
Oh, was it that big?
Yeah, it was that problematic. And so, but thankfully, up there, someone loves me. Looks out for me.
You got out of it.
I traded my way out of it. I can't remember how many trades, but over that 5 day before I had to pay it, I reckon there was probably 40, 50 trades a day.